this was our day. We ran into this transaction. And I think people really do appreciate, the honesty.
I think something else just in general that's helped Kendall and I work together is we hired a coach. So when Kendall came to work full-time with the Rays home team, immediately we hired our coach, Aaron Novello. He's out of Florida. He's a realtor, and he has a big team now, but very high volume. But he's so motivating, and it's been very helpful to us because I was worried that when Kendall came in full-time that I would be put into a position where I was almost like your boss, right?
Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast. This is our second episode, and today we're going to talk about working together as a couple. Me and you, we're married, we work together, we're business partners. And I'm sure a lot of people out there want to kind of understand that dynamic and how we make it work, the goods, the bad, the ugly, the funny. So we'll start talking about that today. So let's just dive into it. What is it like working with me, babe?
So working with you has been an adventure. I think that it's tricky working with your spouse because, especially as an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs never kind of stop, right? Like we wake up with ideas, we go to bed with ideas, and you work the whole day long. And so it's hard to shut that off and have normal conversations about other things without implementing work into it, right? So there's some times where we'll be laying in bed. Kendall's better at it now because he knows how much it bothers me, but there's some times where we'll be laying in bed at 10:30 at night and you'll be like, oh, I need to do this tomorrow. Can you help me with this at noon? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about work. Or he'll talk about some grand idea that he just thought of while he was laying there. And I'm like, can we talk about this at 9 a.m. tomorrow? But I know I'm guilty of it too. If I'm stressed out about a transaction or something, I'll want to vent about it when we're laying in bed at night. And I'm like, this is probably not great for us.
Yeah, I will say that every now and then Kristen does that to me, but it was bad at the beginning, especially
it's hard to shut off.
Especially when I'm finally all in, all right. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Let's go. And I'll just be I'm a very light sleeper, and I say that I do all my best thinking and all my good ideas happening in the middle of the night. And so I'm just sitting there hey,
spilling
Kristen.
them out on me.
I'm like, hey, Kristen, well, we should do this. And you ever thought about that and whatever? And she literally just looks at me and wants to punch me in the face, which I get. So, and we're different. And the thing that's cool about, working together is it's something that we're building together because not only we're building our family together and, we have goals for that, what we want to do with our kids and, where we want to be, as a couple, as a family, but we're also able to share our business and how we provide for our family. And it's it's a passion of ours. So there's a lot of fulfillment with that, but also there's a lot of time together. And so sometimes it's hard to miss your spouse when you see them all the time.
All day long. But I think you and I just have very different personalities.
Yeah.
So I was an accountant before. So I had my head down, keep to myself, stay in a spreadsheet, do the things. And don't talk to anybody, ever. Whereas Kendall played football, and he was in the locker room, and he was just life of the party, super social. And so trying to blend us together and put us in one work environment, he just is spitting out ideas at me and wants to talk through every single thing. And I'm I literally don't care. I'm having trouble caring right now. But I do care. I'm not used to being forced to talk about everything.
Yeah, so I'm so if anyone who knows anything about football or once you get into college and professional, it's a very, very structured day. I need that. I need structure. And obviously being an entrepreneur, there's the structure you have is what you create. So I'm okay, don't get this wrong. So Kristen ran this thing mostly on her own for a long time. So now I'm interjecting myself back into this thing. So in her head, she's like, dude, what are you doing? I've been doing this my way for a long time. Now you want to talk about everything. But I'm just like, hey, like for me to like help and for us to grow, like I honestly need to know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So it's.
He keeps putting meetings in our Gmail calendar, which basically means, Kristen, you better talk to me for this hour. Stop ignoring me.
So I'll put things on the calendar and it's like, hey, we need to sit down and talk about this thing, because it's, Kristen's the GOAT, in our house. Like, she's the GOAT. She's very, very successful. She's good at it. She connects with people very, very easily. It's kind of funny. Like, people will just call her and start venting to her. She just has one of those personalities where, like, you just want to spill everything to her, which happens a lot. But, being in real estate, like, she's able to connect with a lot of people. I'm just like, I'm trying to...
Like, where do I fit in?
Yeah, where do I fit in? Like, how do
I get started?
Like, like, how do I help you, but also, like, grow the business at the same time? So we definitely have a unique dynamic. And, one of the things is, even talking to other couples out there, it's like kind of knowing your role and staying in it. Mm-hmm. And...
yeah, I can speak to that a little. So when we first started, both of us would work with every client together.
Oh boy.
And that got a little bit tricky because if we were in a group chat and then the husband client we were working with called Kendall and told Kendall something and Kendall didn't immediately relay it to me, then I might talk to the wife and it would just became a hot mess. So that we figured out pretty quickly that just wasn't going to work. So now we kind of work everything separately. We do have some group chats with people that we're good friends with, but other than that, we both handle our individual clients, but then we'll fill in. So like if I really want to go to Kyla's, our oldest daughter's basketball practice on a Wednesday, but I have a showing, Kendall will do the showing. Or if Kendall really wants to do something on Saturday when he's supposed to have an open house, I'll fill in for the open house. So it's definitely awesome having Kendall working with me, and we're able to help each other a lot. But also he brings a lot of energy to our team and also to like our social media and just to our brand in general. So I feel like it's like a breath of fresh air. I'm probably not, I'm not that person.
Yeah. So just to kind of reiterate what Chris was talking about, she does, the social media, and that's all her. We'll collectively come up with ideas, but I know I'm not touching. I'm not even allowed to like post things because I'll make spelling mistakes, things like that.
Forget commas. I always am like, that's good, not great.
Yeah. So I going back to like the ideas that I come up with, like I tell Kristen, hey, I have a lot of great ideas. I have a lot of bad ones too. So she, us working together, she's kind of like the filter. Like, hey, Kendall, this one works. These other 10, not so much. So it's good for us to like, okay, I got to pass everything through her. I do not, touch the page at all. I used to, but, that kind of got chopped anyway, because Kristen is really, really good at what she does. And we'll even be, teaching some classes on it. And, let's talk about that. How'd you get so good at it? First of all, social media and running our page.
I don't know. I feel like it just takes practice. I feel like the biggest thing that people don't understand is even if you're a business page, people want to relate to you as a person, not as a business. So even we'll see it if we post like 5 stories in a row that are all about real estate without interjecting something personal. It's like no one cares.
Yeah.
Like we care a lot more about this than anybody else. So like how are we going to relate to our audience enough that makes them feel like they're part of our team, basically. They're part of our family. They feel like they know us, they know our kids, they know what we do every day. That's like the community that you want to build in social media in order to have it be as successful as every business owner wants it to be.
Absolutely. And that's kind of just to, partly attribute to Kristen's personality. She's just, everyone sees the real in her, and that's why like people will come out and start venting to her. But what she always tries to portray in our social media is a very authentic side. Mm-hmm. As everything in real estate is not perfect. So we'll show, obviously, you look at, people's pages and like everything's great, now they're closing, all that other stuff. Don't get me wrong, we do post that, but we also post like, hey, this was our day, we ran into this transaction. And I think people really do appreciate, the honesty.
I think something else just in general that's helped Kendall and I work together is we hired a coach. So when Kendall came to work full-time with the Rays home team, immediately we hired our coach, Aaron Novello. He's out of Florida. He's a realtor, and he has a big team now, very high volume, but he's so motivating, and it's been very helpful to us because I was worried that when Kendall came in full-time that I would be put into a position where I was almost like your boss, right? And I didn't want that because I knew that it would.
You are the boss. Yeah. I just want to make that clear. But
yeah. But at least now we have a third party helping out because I'm like, I don't want to be telling you what to do and making you feel like my inferior, I would rather have somebody else do that to both of us so that we both feel like we have these responsibilities and these goals and things that we really need to be doing every day, every week, not just you. And it's been more helpful for both of us having a coach that keeps us accountable for our business. And one of the first things he said to us was, you want to treat this like a business, not a hobby.
Yeah.
And your business, you want to get it to a point where it's making money when you're not working. Because if you have to work every hour in order to make money, then it's just a job. It's not a business.
Absolutely. And I would say to anyone out there, and what things that we learned, throughout our career, in real estate, is like if you really, really want to take it to that next level, you gotta learn from somebody that's been there. And having that coach, I mean, of course, I love it because being coached essentially my whole life, and being an entrepreneur, there's so many different ways you could do real estate, and to have somebody to give us guidance that's been through it, and he also coaches so many other people, so he gets to see how real estate's done and all over the country, and be able to give like a bird's eye view of what's going on, and also he's in the trenches as well. I 1,000%, if you guys anyone out there who really wants to take their business to that next level, you need to seek out mentorship. You need to seek out a coach. They're going to help you through that next level, to help you get to where you're going to go. Sometimes you get lucky and it just ends up happening, but for to be in this business for a long time and to continue to grow, you got to have guidance. And it's just like with anything, whatever career that you're doing, even with football, it's an easy example to pick from. Talking to the veterans in the locker room, learned so much from them, and I was able to pick up my game that way and become a better athlete. It's the same type of mindset, same type of thing when it comes to our business now, having that mentorship. So it's definitely huge.
Like think bigger and like keep your head straight rather than always being on a swivel. We could go in a million different directions with real estate, but it's like having somebody who's already tried all of that stuff that can guide us the way that we need to go has been hugely helpful for us.
Absolutely. So we talked about working together, as a couple, the pros, and some of the cons. What would you say maybe was the biggest adjustment, in us, working together full time? I know you saw, we did get a coach, but you also saw somebody else during that process. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. I talked to a psychic. Because I was very concerned when this was a years-long process that Kendall wanted to join me full-time. And I was like, oh, shit, how are we going to make this work? Because, again, we're married. We're together all the time. And then to also be in business together it seemed very overwhelming. And I was really worried about it. So I talked to a psychic who told me that our business was going to be very successful, that there would probably be, this happened 1 month before I hired Aaron. So I talked to the psychic and I learned that I need to hire a coach, right? So the psychic had said, you're going to be very successful, but you and your husband are going to have some animosity toward each other through this whole business building process. And basically she made me feel like it would probably be a good idea to have some sort of mentor that almost is like a mediator, like a marriage counselor, except for business. And that's what initiated my contacting Aaron. I found him on social media. Again, he had the presence that I knew him before I even called him. I was like, yep, this is the guy. It wasn't even a question. Whatever he said his price was, I was going to be like, yes. It didn't matter. I just knew that I needed him to be in between Kendall and I for the business part so that we wouldn't bicker and fight and be like, no, that's a bad idea. Mine's better. And you'd be like, no, mine's better. So.
And the thing that's funny about that and why I'm always trying to set team meetings, and I know Chris and I said, don't get me wrong, we got a million things going on, is there's been a couple times where we haven't talked about something together yet, and now we're talking to our coach, and like he'll just like, all right, play it out, like discuss it now, guys. Like
he's just watching us on Zoom, like ping ponging back and forth, like while we're fighting.
But it's funny, and anyone, we got a couple, friends that, they work together with their spouse. It's incredible, to be able to build something like that with your spouse, but also. You learn a lot. Like there's times where me and Chris, like, we'll forget to talk about like our personal life or like whatever. It was weird because it's like I'm with Kristen all day, but like when we're we're like in a work mindset, and so I'm like I was next to her for 2 hours, but I'd even like. Who's picking up the kids? Like what are we eating for dinner? Like we didn't discuss any of that stuff.
Yeah, we play to each other's strengths well now. I think that we've kind of ironed out the roles that we each want. So we have our defined roles. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses. You know that I'm not good at certain things, and you pick up the slack on that, which I'm so appreciative for. But so that's kind of how we just make it work. Yeah, and now we eventually want to grow the team. So like, good luck to whoever joins us, because we haven't figured this out totally yet. So.
No, we're definitely in a good spot, and like that's like part of what we've been working on the past year is like, okay, we've always done things kind of different ways, but now working together with coach and coming up with a defined process and. Really with our technologies, we're now in a position to where we have like one central hub where we do everything, and now we could basically hire someone into our business. Before you like, there's
didn't want to work for us.
Yeah, there's no way you wanted to work for us. But now the part that we're excited about, and probably more so me, is I grew up in a team atmosphere, and just to have people to be able to join. Our company essentially, and be able to mentor them, and that.
Kendall's gonna be such a great real estate coach one day.
Yeah, like I love it. Like I'm a coach at heart. Yeah. Even when I was playing, I would always people were like, all right, you're gonna coach, but doesn't necessarily have to be football. But just the being able to pour into people and to mentor them and
our own team.
Yeah, see them grow. Team. Yep, see the home team grow is what gets me fired up, and even corralling in my wife, and letting her do exactly what she does so well every day, but also be able to add any structure benefits that I can to help this team grow is what it's all about at the end of the day. And so one of the things that we talked about and like the differences in our personalities, I'm like, you shoot me a text and say, you want to do this? I'm like, yes.
It just happened. Our neighbors asked us to go do pickleball on Monday, and Kendall's like, yep, we're in. I'm like, hi, we have tumbling during that time, and it's school pickup. So like, can we reel it back for 1 second?
Yeah. So I mean, that's really the balance, because like sometimes you just got to say yes. Like you got to go in and you're like, you know what? I'm not waiting for a better plan to happen or whatever else would people do when it's they don't want to say yes right away. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go.
Kendall's a hard yes. He's always a yes.
But I love and need Kristen's mindset. She told me the other day, she's like, for her, it's a no unless it's a hell yes. And I was like, huh.
Like, I'm not afraid to say no to people. I like it. It keeps my peace. Like, I feel like I only do things that I like to do. I feel like that's probably me being a little stubborn, but like Imagine if both of us were just hard yeses all the time.
No, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
No way. Would not work. So we definitely balance each other out when it comes to those things. And, she's reeling me back in. But also on the flip side, I'll get Kristen to, step out of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
At the same time. And I think that's what really creates the balance, between us, not only as a couple, but also in our business as well. With any business, there's all things that we don't like doing. And we try to always, figure out those things like, okay, whatever, I'll take this on, or, she'll take something on, and we figure it out together. And, I'm always in the mindset of like, if I could, make her day a little bit easier, it's going to let her shine that little bit brighter. And I know that,
That's
I'm
really
trying.
sweet.
And I know she has that same mindset, and she's just, and I know when I motivate her, it's because we set goals all the time. Like I said, I'm very like structured, task orientated, goal orientated, all this other stuff. And Kristen is too, but she's just like,
As of lately.
but she just does it. Like she's like doesn't have a metric or anything that she's basing off. And she's like, or whatever.
Did the thing.
So I was like, all right, we need to hit our numbers this month, this week. And I was like, all right, Kristen, like we need to buckle down. I talked to her at like 4 p.m. She's like, yeah, I just got 2 houses under contract and all this. I'm like, what happened in the last 6 hours since we had this conversation? And so I'm telling you guys.
I just need that motivation.
Yeah, my wife's is an absolute beast. So I'm excited to see her continue to just do what beasts do and just kill it.
Yeah. So we're like a little over a year full-time, all in, both of us together. And so it's exciting. Yeah. 5 years into the business, kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. 1 year, all in, both of us together.
Yeah.
So let's see where we can go.
Absolutely.
See what impact we can make around here.
For sure. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to our second episode. And like I said, we got a lot more to share, with you guys about the ins and outs of the industry. We'll have some guests coming up. So stay tuned, subscribe, keep following in, and, we'll see you guys soon.